morning to our honorable guest speaker, Dr. G. Satheesh Reddy, Chairman DRDO, our Director, our Joint Director, faculty members, and all the students present here. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all to the TalkSeries'19 under the banner of Tech Tatwa 2019. TalkSeries'19 is one kind of an event where we try to bring some of the most inspiring individuals of our country to enlighten all of us. Today's special lecture on advance in defense technologies and its implications of national security is in association with the Department of Geopolitics and International Relations, MAHE. It is an honor for us to have you, sir, as the first speaker of TalkSeries'19. Dr. G. Satheesh Reddy has been in the industry since the last 3 decades working on missile and strategic systems. He's the first Indian to receive the Silver Medal of the Royal Aeronautical Society, adding on his account of many achievements. We would like to thank you, sir, for taking out your precious time for all of us. Now I would request Dr. Arvind Kumar, Professor and Head, Geopolitics and International Relations, to escort Dr. Satheesh Reddy to the stage and introduce the guest to the gathering.
Good morning. The chief guest of this special lecture series organized by TalkSeries'19, Manipal Institute of Technology in collaboration with Department of Geopolitics and International Relations, Dr. G. Satheesh Reddy, the Director of Manipal Institute of Technology, Dr. Srikanth, Joint Director, Associate Directors, and other colleagues of mine from MIT and elsewhere in the campus, students, ladies and gentlemen. I have great pleasure in welcoming Dr. G. Satheesh Reddy ji. He is currently the Director General of Aeronautical Development Agency, the Chairman of Defense Research and Development Organization, and also the Secretary, DRDO. Sir, all of us here are feeling very privileged that you are able to spare time for us and accepted our invitation, because we are trying to get you here since a long time. In fact, in introducing Dr. Satheesh Reddy, I don't know whether I will be doing justice or not, but I will make an attempt because he has too many feathers to his cap, and he obviously has contributed significantly in almost all the major research and development projects in India. He basically graduated in Electronics and Communication Engineering and joined DRDO way back in 1986. And he subsequently joined one of the major strategic institutions in India, which basically designs and develops ballistic missiles. It's called Research Center Imarat. It is located in Hyderabad, and obviously he contributed significantly since his joining of this Research Center Imarat. Research Center Imarat was obviously the brainchild of Dr. Abdul Kalam, and he obviously has been contributing significantly in that center since his joining. He was the Director General of the Missiles and Study Systems, and he spearheaded Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Missile Complex and other labs as steering the design and development of wide variety of tactical and strategic missiles and guided weapon systems. As you know that India started integrated guided missile development program way back in the year 1983, and he perhaps is one of the very few who joined this institution from its formation and contributed significantly in all the developments whatever India has now, whether it is a Patriot missile or Agni missile. He basically has been the brainchild of all this development. He envisioned and evolved the strategies for indigenous design and development of advanced avionics and paved the way for induction of a range of missiles and smart guided weapons. He has made pioneering contributions to the Agni 5. As you know, India has declared that India has got intercontinental ballistic missile, and the range of the Agni 5 is seemingly very important because it is almost 5,000 kilometers of range. It's surface to surface long range strategic missile. And obviously, it added a lot of value to India's existing strategic capabilities because it led India to have a quantum jump in all the critical technologies. He holds the distinction of being the first Indian scientist to be elected as Fellow of Royal Institute of Navigation, London, Royal Aeronautical Society, and Foreign Member of the Academy of Navigation and Motion Control, Russia. He is an Honorary Fellow of Computer Society of India, Sensor System Society, and Project Management Association of India, and many other academies and scientific bodies in the country and abroad. For his distinguished contributions, Dr. Reddy received several prestigious international and national awards. He is the first Indian to receive the silver medal from the renowned Royal Aeronautical Society in London in the Aerospace Society's history spanning over 100 years. World's largest and most reputed aerospace technical society for American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics conferred him the prestigious Missile Systems Award, and this was something very rare for an Indian to get it. He has been the recipient of several national level awards, which includes the Indian Science Congress Association, Homi J. Bhabha Memorial Gold Medal, National Aeronautical Prize, National Design Award, National Systems Gold Medal, and obviously the first IEIE USA Joint Award, IEEE Joint Award for Engineering Excellence. So we again are very much delighted to say and share our sentiments with you that your presence here obviously will add a lot of value from your experience which you have had in the last almost 3.5 decades in R&D in the defense area. And obviously look forward to listening to a lecture. Now I request you to share your experience in the field of the advances in defense technologies and its implications for India's national security.
Very good morning. Professor Kumar, thank you very much for the nice introduction. And all the eminent personalities who are present here, the professors, the director, and other directors, joint directors, who are all present here. And most importantly, the young students of this institute. Very good morning to all of you. Let me very frankly tell you, I should thank the university and Professor Arun Kumar for inviting me here to be amongst you today. It has been getting a couple of times postponed. But whenever I go to an academic institute, we always derive the energy from the young students who are present there. A lot of energy, enthusiasm, activity, action, everything can be seen from them. We people continuously working at various levels and working in government. Sometimes, many times we get frustrated also when things are not moving and some type of a attitude may come. So the next immediate thing what we do is we go to an academic institute, interact with the students, become fresh in our mind, go back with enthusiasm and try to work with all. I was just mentioning just now talking to all the professors and head of the departments. The academic institutes play a major role in the technological growth of any country. The three main constituents in this are the academia, the R&D organizations, and the industry. Primarily look for from the academic institutes, the basic research towards application research, applied research, And then the R&D organizations like DRDO, CSIR, DSD, ISRO, Atomic Energy and whatnot all, they work on applied research to translational research. The industry, with the primary focus on production, taking this product from prototype to actually product as a product which can be delivered, and also coming out with many of the innovations in that particular area. Unless these three elements are very strong, I don't think the country can become technologically strong. Look at any country which has advanced in its technological arena. All three constituent elements have been very strong. The country has been working on many technologies in the last 7 decades, but primarily in the last about 4 decades, and has achieved many significant milestones in those areas. Whether it is these three strategic departments, when I say the Department of Space, ISRO, the Department of Atomic Energy, or the Defense Research and Development Organization, have made significant contributions in their own areas and made the country proud or made the country stand among the first 10 in the world. I don't have to tell you about ISRO, the type of success what they have achieved, whether with the PSLV, number of successive launches, I think, which is almost about 35 or 36 now. Then the geostationary launch vehicles, and from there taking large payloads, or the moon mission, or Mangalyaan, and working out man in the space. Atomic energy, tremendous contributions in varieties of areas, particularly in the national security, which I won't be able to, or I can't tell you many details of it. Tremendous contributions from atomic energy. And then the defense research, what has achieved many milestones in recent areas. I'll try to give you a glimpse of what are the various technological achievements and what are the advances and what you're looking for in the future technologies. Again, a glimpse of them. You won't be able to cover all of them fully. When we say DRDO, DRDO works for all the three armed forces, that is the Army, Air Force, Navy, and then of course Coast Guards. Then the paramilitary forces, whether it is CRPF, CISF, BSF, and the security agencies which are there in the country, developing many of the security products for these applications in the paramilitary forces and security agencies and intelligence agencies, whatever are there. So these are all the various organizations which get benefited out of the research what DRDO has been carrying out. So when you look at various technological advances, I will start with the light combat aircraft, Tejas, which has been developed by Aeronautical Development Agency in Bangalore. An aircraft which is in the 10-ton class with lots of technologies which have been developed indigenously, which got into the aircraft and developed, for which the final operational clearance has been given by the Indian Air Force, and which is placing or some placed the largest order, a single order from Air Force. More than 123 aircrafts buying of LCA, which are getting into the fleet of Air Force. A class by itself, it is varieties of technologies, which is making its way the way for next generation aircrafts. The LCA Mark II, which is again in large number, will be developed and produced. It is a medium weight class, which gets into 17-ton aircraft. And then again, finally, I will be talking about later an advanced medium combat aircraft, which is 25 tons class, with all the latest features of any aircraft. With this aircraft, we are one of the 6 countries in the world have developed their own fighter aircraft of this class, which is getting into the inducted into the armed forces. Let me tell you, don't go by what comes in the media or whatever it is. The successive last 3 air chiefs who have flown and said this is one of the best aircrafts what they have flown. That is the type of aircraft which has been in fact, to come out of all this news, what I've been spreading, in the last aero show, we made many people who are in the public domain fly this aircraft, including the Sindhu. Sindhu has flown in LCA, and then a journalist has flown. Then I requested Army Chief to fly in this. Army Chief has flown in this. So all had fantastic experience and a beautiful aircraft. Without such good features, Indian Air Force cannot place an order for 123 aircrafts at one go. This is the type of aircraft. And now let me tell you, people must have been talking about that it has taken a lot of time and things like that. Just take the world standard till about yesterday, I'm not talking about today. Any aircraft has taken about 15 to 20 years. The Rafale aircraft, what you're talking about, has taken 18 years for it to complete and get it to inducted. In countries like that where the industry was matured enough, there's a lot of support from academia and whatnot. It has taken 18 years. We have taken close to about 22 years. And I don't think we were very far off. And when we started the LCA aircraft, people were not in the condition to lay the specifications of this aircraft very clearly. That was the condition. There were not more than about 15 to 20 industries which were coming forward to take anything. They were all built to print, meaning I make the complete design, drawing and everything the industry can produce. That was the condition of that day. Yes, today the condition is completely different. Industry is coming up, has come up. I'll talk about it a little later. So that's the condition. The next one. Then AEWC, Airborne Early Warning and Control System, which has got the complete radar, the communication systems, the early warning system, and many features which can detect at various ranges beyond 300 kilometers and all that. 2 aircrafts have been already delivered to the Air Force, and let me tell you, this is one of the aircrafts which have been successfully used in the recent operations what have been done in the northwest zone. I was just day before yesterday, I was the air chief. The same topic came. I was telling one of the best systems which DRDO has delivered to the air forces, which it is effectively utilizing, and they are looking for many more such systems which can go into this, and of course with little more improvements and little more ranges. These are not the beautiful systems what country has developed. And again, I will tell you, in that area, we are one of the very few countries who have developed our own system, their own systems, and then they have deployed and given it to the armed forces. Radar technologies. Today, we are in a condition, ask any type of a radar which world has or which world is developing. Today, we have the capability to develop here in the country. Industries have come up. Industries, I don't know how many of you are electronic students or whatever it is. The types of radars, whether it is phased array radars or digital beamforming type of radars or whatnot, the TR modules, means transmitter receiver modules, varieties of powers you are able to develop in the country, whatever ranges. Yes, about 10 to 15 years back, we were importing some of the radars. But today, any type of a radar, I'll again use the word, we are in a condition to develop in the country today. There's a laboratory in Bangalore called LRDE, which is pioneering this. There are at least about 5 to 6 industries which are contributing in a big way. So the varieties of radars I have mentioned here, the medium power radar, the high power radar, or active electronics carrying on the radar and other radars, the radars for ships, the radar for the army. various applications. These are all developed in the country and moving towards the quantum radar, moving towards the photonics radar and things like that and all. So this is the capability what country has developed in these areas. Then coming to the area of missiles, our great leader, our guru, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who has laid the foundation for the missiles in the laboratory in Hyderabad with the integrated guided missiles development program, wherein you have developed varieties of missiles, whether it is the Prithvi, or the Agni series, or Dhanush, from there on, varieties of things. Look at here the first missile mentioned, Akash. Akash is a surface-to-air missile which the country has developed against aerial targets in the range of about 25 to 30 kilometers, are incoming some of the low-speed missiles. This, the way the armed forces have validated this missile and observed the type of accuracies what it has got. Till now, the Bharat Dynamics Limited and Bharat Electronics Limited have executed the orders of Akash close to about 29,000 crores. That is the type of orders what have been achieved. Let me tell you the capability country has achieved. BDL has produced at least about 60 missiles a month and said, you want, I can produce it in about 3 months, 120 missiles a month. That is the type of capability what has come out. I'd like to mention here industry. Even though the BDL Bharat Dynamics Limited is the lead integrator, in Akash missile, 87% of the total items which are there in that by value are coming from private industry. Only 30% by value is done by Bharat Dynamics Limited. That is what the industry has flourished and the way it has gone into Akash missile. Then the series of Agni missiles, Agni 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like Professor Arvind Kumar was mentioning, we have more than 5,000 kilometers range missiles today. And I'll again make a statement here. Any missile, whatever is required, we have the complete capability with complete indigenous technologies to develop any class of a missile today. Talk about any missile. In fact, Dr. Kalam, when he was there, we were all working as youngsters with him. Great man. When we have launched the first Agni, we have become one of the 6 nations who have this capability. And then when we launched Agni 2, again we have become one of the 6 nations who have this capability set up again. He's a great man, he used to think always ahead and he used to say that when are we going to become the first nation to develop any missile of this class? He always says about this. So he himself, when he was there, he worked for the missile. That was the Indo-Russian joint venture. That's the BrahMos missile. That's named as actually the 2 rivers, Brahmaputra and Moscow River there, and brought it into Brahmastra class at a meaning and similar name BrahMos. That time, it was the only supersonic cruise missile in the world. The missile which can travel beyond the velocity of the sound, whether it travels at 3 times the velocity of sound, and cruises at lower altitudes and can work, wherein it is a joint venture. The complete electronics parts and the avionics part is done by the Indian side. The engine, the structure and other things is done by the Russians, which is a beautiful collaboration to effort what has happened. And that is what the aim what he has achieved. Then from there onwards went on, lots of missiles have been developed, anti-tank guided missiles. The Astra air-to-air missile is one of the beautiful missiles what has gone, which has close to about 80 to 100 kilometers range to tackle any type of aircraft which is coming launched from the aircraft, which is right now is Super aircraft. And Nirbhai is a cruise missile, subsonic cruise missile what has been developed. There are many underwater launching missiles have been developed. You must be seeing there are missiles called MRSAM, there are missiles called LRSAM, and many other systems which have been developed. There are many guided missiles which have been developed. Whatever you are seeing there, something called Smart Anti-Airfield Weapon, is a is one of the smart bombs what the country has developed, which is just about 125 kg weight. In that, 75 kg is the explosive part, which has been developed, which goes to about 100 kilometers range and gives you an accuracy of about 1 to 2 meters. Recently, the tests have been done, 3 tests in Pokhran, where they have put a flag, and then all the 3 have gone in about 1.7 meters from that flag. That is the type of accuracies what have been achieved by this bomb, which is again getting into the armed forces in large numbers. The production will be starting soon. Then you have the next one, LRGB, long range guided bomb, which is again about a weight of about 850 kg with more than 500 kg warhead, explosive material, which can do a devastation, and this is the type of things. Today, we can talk about warheads, which the country has developed, which can penetrate even bunkers of concrete of 5 meters, penetrate and then can blast. This is the type of the technologies what country has developed. We have demonstrated to the people and which have got large things. Imagine it is going through about 5 meters of concrete, that means close to 15 feet concrete, and then goes and then actually blasts itself. This is the type of warheads which have been developed. The end of this, one thing I'd like to mention, country has developed one of the beautiful programs which is called ballistic missile defense. If your enemy launches a ballistic missile onto you, you can intercept that ballistic missile in the midair. Today we have demonstrated we can do that at about 140 kilometers altitude. Develop that, and let me mention it to you here. When you say that 140 kilometers you have demonstrated means you are directly going and hitting it and destroying it. There is no explosive and things like that and all that. It's called kinetic kill. So it is like an arrow hitting another arrow. In the space domain, you are going and then hitting it. This is the four nations have got such a program which is actually pursuing, and we are the 5th nation who are pursuing this ballistic missile defense in a strong way, which is a successful program running against ballistic missile defense, which has paved the way for some more technologies to be developed, which I will talk about it later. Yeah, this is what I was saying, that it has paved the way for the anti-satellite test. You people must have observed on 27th of March this year, we have knocked off a satellite in the low Earth orbit, which the Prime Minister himself has declared that to the nation. And this was at about 283 kilometers altitude, intentionally done at that altitude to see that there are minimum effects of the debris and safety of the space assets which various nations have put there. And the operation is done in about just 180 seconds. And the missile has the capability to do the same job in beyond 1,000 kilometers also. So this is the one what has been developed. Lots of industries have participated, and more than about 50 industries, number of components have been developed. This has been developed, of course, always you will have some background technologies developed from various places, but the day you decided, you have done this in about 2 years. I don't think in the entire world anybody has designed a missile and then shown it as a demonstration in about 2 years till now. This we have done in just 2 years period. When the Honorable Prime Minister gave it in the September 2016, that you please do a mission like this to demonstrate the capabilities of the country. And we did get prepared in about 2 years and did it in the March of this year. These are all some of the details. As I said, even though you have the capability at 1,000 kilometers, you have done it about 283 kilometers. That is less than 300 kilometers, and it is much below the International Space Station. And seen that the debris will be vanishing in, most of the debris will be vanishing in a short span of about less than 2 months, intentionally. Let me tell you, Chinese have, this is the 4th country in the world which has done this operation. Americans, Russians, and Chinese have done it about 847 kilometers or so, wherein the debris may last for about 100 years. Whereas most of our debris, at least beyond 90%, would have vanished or vanished in about 2 months period. And that is the type of operation what has been done, and India has demonstrated that it is a responsible nation, and when we do such things also. A small video on this.
Space has become an important element in a country's economy and military superiority. Capability to defend against the space-based threats is a necessity. Mission Shakti is a major breakthrough in demonstrating the country's advancing technological capability of engaging satellites of low Earth orbit. The seeds for the ASAT test were sown back in 2014 when Prime Minister asked DRDO to work on challenging technologies. The National Security Advisor then held a series of discussions with DRDO on the subject, and a final go-ahead for the test was given by the Prime Minister in 2016. The objective was to neutralize a satellite in orbit while ensuring the safety of other space assets. It was imperative that the test be done at the lower orbits, which posed a serious challenge of highest speeds. A multi-stage interceptor missile with a hit-to-kill capable kill vehicle was configured with advanced technologies to handle closing speeds of more than 10 kilometers per second. A long-range, strapped-down IIR seeker with hit-to-kill guidance and control, ring laser gyro-based navigation system, and precision divert and attitude control system with quick reaction valves made the technological feat possible. The highest level of classification warranted the execution of the task in the shortest possible time. While only a small group knew what it was really about, the work was done by many teams across the labs. Nearly 150 scientists worked round the clock. The system was realized, integrated, and brought to the flight test stage in a record time of 2 years. Many industries were engaged for the realization of components and systems in a concurrent mode, demonstrating maturity of Indian industry contributing to complex missions. Extensive hardware in the loop simulation tests were conducted to fine-tune and validate the design under all possible dynamic conditions to achieve the required accuracies. Meanwhile, a satellite was launched in an orbit under 300 kilometers to serve as a target for the mission in January 2019. The systems of BMD like radars, data links, communication network, and ground systems were deployed over a wide geographical area for the mission. The weapon system detected, tracked, and classified the target as a satellite to be engaged. The ground guidance system computed the exact launch time, and the missile was launched at 11:09 hours on 27 March 2019. The booster stages had taken the missile to the required heights and velocities before the kill vehicle was released. The heat shield was ejected subsequently, and the IIR seeker locked onto the target at the expected range. The terminal guidance executed the small and precise corrections to the path of the kill vehicle, and the target was hit at the intended aim point within 10 centimeter accuracy. The intercept occurred at 283 kilometer height in a hit-to-kill mode. The radars and electro-optical systems captured the interception, and the onboard IIR seeker's last image also confirmed the same. The Honorable Prime Minister has congratulated the scientific community. Jai Hind.
Let me tell you, the relative velocity between the two objects is close to about 11 kilometers per second. And the object size is roughly about 1.3 meters by 1.3 meters. And the interception happened from the geometric center of that object, probably somewhere around 7 centimeters or 8 centimeters away. The type of precision what you require, just let me tell you in the time domain, if you have 1 millisecond inaccuracy, it is off by 11 meters, 11 kilometers per second. So if you have 1 millisecond off, you are 11 meters off. The type of control and guidance what you require, the actuation systems, you must seen in the video. The response time of the actuation system has been brought down to less than about 5 milliseconds. And then even that 5 milliseconds to get into better than 1 millisecond, you have to do extensive modeling of that, predict the behavior of that, and then use all those control valves opening and firing of the each instant you are trying to adjust yourself and see and things like that. There's so many mechanisms which you require. There is a lot of dynamic pressure, a lot of heating and all that. And so there's a heat shield and then there's a dome. You have to open the dome and then see that IR seeker is having that object within the size, and then you have to see it's the real object. There's so many objects in that. You should not get locked onto some other thing. And then for that, a lot of image processing you need to do and say that it's the right object. And then you are positioning yourself to be close to going to the CG, geometry center of it, and whatnot. Many technologies which have gone into it. It looks, when we do the test, let me frankly tell you, till the test happened, after the test happened, I was thinking it is a dream. Let me tell you, myself, they being present there, and the whole 150 scientists who were there, I think, were shouting and crying for next about 10 to 15 minutes. That is the type of feeling, such tests where you have 11 kilometers per second, and then at close to about 350 kilometers or 400 kilometers range, you are able to hit with centimeters accuracy. And you must have noticed there was no response from any foreign government negatively on this. The way the test has been conducted, the smooth, not causing the problems to anyone and things like that. So that shows the respect what they have shown and respect to the technology demonstration what. So this shows that Indians have the capabilities and you can demonstrate it, and if you require, you can do it in the shortest possible time. In the entire world, I don't think anywhere anybody has done, right from the conceptualization stage to demonstration in less than 2 years period. It's impossible. So if you show your strength, people admire you. And if you're weak, people laugh at you. This is what, after any test. After Agni 5, when it was done, before the test, people were trying to say India doesn't have the capabilities, they're trying to do something and they may not be able to achieve. This sort of comments were there. After Agni 5 is successful launch, which has gone to more than about 5,000 kilometers range, the accuracy of the missile is few meters at 5,000 kilometers also. The Chinese said, no, it is not 5,000 kilometers, it has got 8,000 kilometers range. They are trying to increase our range and say that. The Americans said, we know that the Indians have these capabilities and they have the technological strengths, and also we know that they are peace-loving people. This is the type of admiration what it comes when it becomes strong. So it is very, very essential that a nation has to be strong to get admired by the people. That is why we use always the word, including the ASAT, we say that it is a deterrence. You are only showing your strength. I will never use. No first use is your policy in the nuclear domain or anything, nuclear missiles you have developed or whatnot and all that. You've been always saying that no first use. So you're only trying to say that yes, I have the capability, I have the strength, I have everything here. You touch me, be careful. That's all the type of a thing. That's how it is. Then let me enter into the life support system. I believe here in this university, life sciences is one of the strong departments. Life sciences is one of the very important domain where DRDO has done tremendously. Right from agriculture and high altitudes. See, in about 30 years back, Leh and Ladakh areas, villages they were vacating and going off as it was not economically viable for them to stay there in the villages. It is extremely difficult for any country without the local population occupying the border areas, and you try to protect the border areas. You have to see the local population always being present in every area. So we have worked on it today in Leh Ladakh areas. Primarily we started for the army camps. You can grow vegetables. You can find the cabbages of this size growing in Leh and Ladakh areas across the seasons today. tomatoes, whatnot. Talk about many of the vegetables you can grow there, you can store there. You have poultry, lot of poultry. So now, many of the villages, they have come back villages, they are in their villages, they are having lots of economic growth, they are able to survive there, they work there. Now we started shifting our focus to the northeast. We are working in Arunachal Pradesh and other areas, trying to do. This is all the job done by the life sciences. Many other things for life support systems, G-suit, then helmets, the gravitational suit, and telemedicine, the combat free fall mechanisms, and then submarine air purifying filters is again a very important thing for submarines, what is required. Then underwater breathing operators, onboard oxygen generation systems, even for the aircrafts like fighter aircrafts which they go beyond 30,000 feet, 40,000 feet, or sometimes higher altitudes, you require a lot of oxygen there. So you need to generate your own onboard oxygen. Then military space heater. This is one of the important things. Places like Siachen glaciers, the temperatures are minus 30, minus 40. You have any of your place where your soldier is staying there, the 5 by 5 feet or 4 by 4 area, you need to heat it with minimal things. That is one of the important things. Similarly, the food what he has got, nobody can eat a food at minus 20 degrees temperature, which is having a minus 50 degrees temperature. You need to heat it. So small things which you have to have, you develop all those things and lot more. In fact, even the biotoilet also has come out of that need. When your temperatures are minus 30 and minus 40 in Siachen glaciers, the human excreta remains fresh for months. So you need to destroy that. That's how the bacteria-based biotoilet has come, and that's what is being used everywhere now. In fact, today morning also I saw an article what it can be used in 100 more installations coming in Delhi and other. So then many more things where it is explosive detection kit and hand-pen counter penetration radar. You have any mines and things like that which are there in that to observe that. The jamming systems for varieties of applications. Then door breaching devices, see-through wall devices, and lots of UAVs which are required for the armed forces. Varieties of things have been developed by this group which have been given to armed forces. Lots of them, and in fact things like for controlling the mobs where you don't have to fire the real bullets. A plastic bullet also has been developed which only causes an injury, and try to make that. And so many things, so many weapons have been developed. You talk about laser fencing. For wherever the armed forces are there, the fencing has got a laser fencing which detects any intruder immediately and kills you. In fact, it has been integrated with many other systems, IR imaging, RF related things. So laser, IR, RF, all combined system monitoring the people, any intruder into any army camp and things like that. And unmanned ground vehicles, night aviation systems, night vision systems. Then rifles, guns, and then ammunitions, varieties of systems which have been developed. The multi-mode grenades, which can be used for both defensive and offensive applications. Chili grenade is one of the things which is effectively has been used in Kashmir. A chili grenade which has been made by a laboratory which has been used. Again, the intention is that you are only trying to scare away the people and try to create a small trouble to them and not causing any serious injuries and all that. So varieties of systems, I have only narrated about 20 or 30 here, at least about 100 systems have been developed and given to armed forces and paramilitary forces for these applications, even bulletproof jackets and all that also. Now, let me talk about, these are all some of the glimpses of what we have done till now. In fact, some of the areas I could not mention, like you have developed your own main battle tank, Arjun. Arjun Mark II also has been developed. Yesterday afternoon only at 2:30 I was sitting with Army Chief. He was saying that all the tanks what we are seeing even today, leaving aside little higher weight, Arjun is the best tank. This is at 2:30 yesterday what a statement made by Army Chief, and he was telling that the next generation of futuristic tank, I need about 500 members, I'll give you an order to try to make that, which will be the lowest in the weight and the best in the world, and the tank you should make. Let me tell you, we are again one of the 7 nations in the world who have developed their own main battle tank. So, there are many things which have been developed like this. We have complete our torpedoes technology, which we developed our own torpedoes and which we are using them now. Sonars, we are one of the best in the world. The types of sonar systems what we have developed today. Many advanced nations are also asking for the sonar suits what we have developed across the submarines and ships. Even the submarines what we bought from Russia, now complete fleet of the submarines are being fitted with our sonars, which we are given, and our people go to Russia and then fit our own sonars and come here. So like this, many areas you have excelled and you have done a lot and proven that you have the capability with very limited resources what are available for our country. Let me tell you, our budget of the whole defense budget is somewhere around 50 billions. Look at whether America, somewhere around 800 plus or 800 or so. China, somewhere around 200 plus or so. That is the type of the budget. Talk about R&D budget. I don't think we are anywhere near to anyone. And look at, as I said, till about 10 years back, the type of industry what we had was bare minimum. When IGMDP program, the missiles development program started in Hyderabad in the early days, as I was also party to it, I don't think we had about more than 20. Even a nut and bolt we were trying to make in our own workshop. That was the type of situation. But today we have about 1,800 plus industries working with us, more than 1,800 industries. Let me tell you the number of technology transfers what we had to the industries is about 842 technologies have been transferred to industries today. And the total number of industries which have taken this technology transfers itself is about 567 industries which have taken the technology transfers. So industries have come up very well. I'll talk about a little later how the youngsters of the country are doing today. Extremely well. I will give you examples how they are doing and what you should do also after coming out of the institutions and all that. Let me talk about future systems and future technologies. Again, as I said, only a glimpse of some of the technologies only I am mentioning here. And lot more are there. You can think about whatever area which can be used for the. This is the aircraft what I was talking, advanced medium combat aircraft. A twin engine aircraft and stealth aircraft, complete stealth aircraft in the 5th generation fighter aircraft, which the country is developing now. I'm sure in the coming next 7 years, this aircraft will be there. We have promised to the government that by 2024 itself, we'll have a rollout of this aircraft. So one of the best aircrafts in the world when it comes out and flies in the world of this class of 25 tons. Many technologies are there which are going into it. I don't want to get into it. Right from the avionics, the most important being the stealth technologies. Then UCAV, this is another important program, Unmanned Combat Aerial Vehicle. You have a UAV which can do the combat, completely unmanned. You have the weapons on it, and weapons can be utilized. You do surveillance, and also you can use the weapons. You will have a lot of guided missiles, a lot of bombs and whatnot and all that, a lot of laser equipment which can be used on this, which is again an important one what country is looking for. Then electromagnetic railgun. This is one of the technologies which the world is working. We have progressed very well in this. We are, I think, 150 grams. We have achieved close to about 2,000 meters per second velocity of electromagnetic railgun. We are looking for a 500 grams object shell, which can be again sent with the same velocity of about 2,000 meters per second is one thing. look at in the literature, in the any internet, this is one area where most of the advanced nations are also working in this direction, trying to make systems out of it. Directed energy weapons. This is one of the important things where again we are looking for a lot of support from academic institutes. High power lasers. You must have seen that when we had done the ASAT operation, people started talking about why you have to go and directly hit it and kill it. There are other methods. The other methods are what? One is a very high electromagnetic energy. You give a very high electromagnetic impulse, the complete electronics inside the satellite gets destroyed. Now, you have a very high power laser, you are able to kill that, you are able to drill a hole into that satellite. This is one of the applications today, wherein we have already developed a 10 kilowatts laser which can destabilize, and we have demonstrated at 2 to 3 kilometers distance any object, including aircraft, a UAV or whatever it is flying, drone, whatever it is, you can actually burn it off. So this is the type of technology wherein we are looking for. Today, 50 to 100 kilowatts type of a power what we are looking for. This is one of the important technologies we are working. There are lots of technologies what it actually calls for. When you say 100 kilowatts, a single beam cannot be transmitted in this. There are multiple beams to be combined. When you are combining, what are the atmospheric effects? What is the phase difference it causes? How this energy can be combined without losses? There are tremendous studies. Lots of scientific details goes into it. So this is one of the areas where people are looking for a lot of support from academic institutes. Drones, swarm drones. I think all of you must be very familiar. This is going to be the future. People are already working in a network, group of drones, collectively going together, trying to do an operation. Many applications. Let me restrict myself to defense technologies instead. Whether you are attacking the complete fleet of soldiers or complete fleet of vehicles, and doing a surveillance operation and passing on information and without much of worrying about getting damaged and things like that. So with autonomously operating, with artificial intelligence, this is one of the technologies. We're primarily looking for lots of inputs, a lot of systems coming from youngsters and startups. Morphing technologies. This is one important thing in aerodynamics. If I don't know, I'm not very sure whether aerodynamics department is there here or not. But this is one where in the aerodynamics, the most important thing is the aerodynamic drag. Is one of the important things where people struggle in the world, and whenever you're designing aircraft, you're designing a UAV or whatnot. So adjusting yourself to the current aerodynamic environment by morphing your wings is one of the important phenomena which you need in the aircraft's design. So this is what is a morphing wings design, which people have been working on it. What calls for a lot of knowledge, a lot of importance to the material sciences. This is one of the areas very important for any country. You should be first strong in materials. If a country is not strong in materials, you will not be able to achieve whatever technological growth you want. So that's why as soon as you became the scientific advisor, a policy has been drafted how to get self-reliance in the strategic materials of the country. What are the resources you have in the country, how do you process them, how do you generate the materials, how do you generate the various types of alloys and various types of high temperature materials and how to stockpile them. This is one of the important policies. Second, after materials, the second most important thing is manufacturing capability. So the type of manufacturing capability what we develop in the country makes you develop the product which you can sell in the world. So this is another important thing. You talk about varieties of manufacturing technology. People are even now striving hard to have better and better manufacturing capabilities. In the last about 3 years, a country like United States of America has established about 42 innovative manufacturing institutes across that country in varieties of areas, including textiles. I'm talking about whether you are 3D printing or additive manufacturing or electronics or foldable electronics, whatever you talk about it, that is what is gives an edge for you over your other nations. So this is one of the important things. Materials, what I was talking. Stealth technologies I was just mentioning today. If I have to evade any radar, the most important thing is that I need to have a stealth technology where my radar cross section RCS is very low. Radar is not able to detect it. If I have an RCS of less than about 0.1 square meters, then the range of the radar gets very limited. So by the time it detects, I can go and do my attack. Similarly, aircraft, I was talking about AMCA, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, whose RCS is very low. Again, the radars cannot detect. You can go strike in the target in the enemy territory and come back is one of the important things. The two most important things here in this are the design of the shape of the aircraft, or shape of the total outside surface, and the materials what you are using are the most important things. So this is one important phenomenon what you leaving aside the plasma stealth. You have create a plasma around you wherein it blocks some of the RF radiation. Autonomous underwater vehicles. This is again one of the important areas world is working. So when you have lots of submarines, you know that the type of risk what you have. So you have smaller vehicles which are high endurance. That means you are able to stay for about 40 hours, 48 hours and things like that. Autonomously, you are able to do the surveillance, you are able to do many operations and come back to your mothership, whether it is a ship or a submarine, and do it. This is one area where many people in many countries are working in this with varieties of payloads, including underwater imaging, and one of your process was talking about underwater communications, blue beam lasers, many things. So these are one of the areas. Even in this, the stealth technologies again. If I have a submarine, what is the type of stealth technology that got? Whether I can see that the enemy submarine or the enemy ship is not able to detect my signature through sonars or whatever it is one of the important things. So this is another technological area. Autonomous ground vehicles. You have a tank, and tank is unmanned, and you are able to do entire operations, build artificial intelligence into it completely, and it is able to work like a normal tank with manned. So these are the types of vehicles which are coming. Leaving aside, I'm talking about smaller vehicles where you are able to do surveillance and whatnot and all that. Or a bigger vehicle where you have fitted a gun and things like that, it is able to go and do. This is one of the operations, whatever it is. So the extension of it is, you must have heard something called robotic soldier. So try to replace the actual soldier with a completely robotic soldier. Or there are some things called soldier as a system. The soldier is fitted with all the features. He has the complete information, he has the complete communication, he has complete navigation, he knows where, what it is, and you have foldable displays and you are getting the real-time images, real-time video of the troops which is moving, and he has got a smart clothing wherein an injury is there, injury is detected, automatically medicine is given. Very serious research is going on. IIT Delhi is working on this smart clothing, wherein you have the complete sensors and the medicine and whatnot, and everything can be given. Soldier is automatically treated by the clothing itself. These are all the systems which are coming up now, and which people are working, or world is working on that. Space technologies. See, till now, it has been only Army, Air Force, and Navy. The fourth dimension in the warfare is space, and the fifth dimension in the warfare is cyber. These two have gained a lot of importance in the war. If a war is coming, it is going to begin. It is going to begin with first space. You must have seen the couple of conflicts what have happened now. Before the real conflicts on the ground starts, the number of satellites are launched. Everything is mapped on the ground. Where are the troops? Where are the radars? Where are the communication systems? What is the type of movement happening? What is the groups of tanks moving? Entire information is available through the satellites today. And then the physical movement of the forces start, or the missiles launches take place and hitting each and every vulnerable or whatever the systems are there. And that's how the space has become very, very important. whether it is little getting into the details, the complete imaging, the complete IR signature, detection of a ballistic missile launch, or the ELINT payloads, electronic intelligence payloads, the comment, communication intelligence payloads, or signal intelligence, whatever the complete signal intelligence you are able to take, or the formation flying in identifying the radars with an accuracy of better than about 10 meters. So launch on demand, a concept what you call it as, I want a satellite to be launched, I will launch it in about 24 hours. It's called launch on demand. I will be able to launch from anywhere the satellite, and if a satellite is knocked off, in few hours again the satellite is there in the space, which is able to again do the surveillance. So this is one of the very important elements in space domain, which again, let me tell you, lots of youngsters are showing a lot of interest in coming out with nano satellites, micro satellites, and many payloads for the various satellites, which are trying to do a lot in this area. Artificial intelligence and machine learning. I was talking to some of the professors yesterday. IT, information technology, or ICT, we have done well. We grabbed the opportunity as a nation. A lot of youngsters jumped into it. Today the country got benefited. I think every alternate house has got an IT expert or a software man, either working outside in the United States or working here in the country for varieties of companies. The similar boom is going to come for artificial intelligence. Any instrument what is going to come now onwards will be having artificial intelligence in it. So we have to get geared up for that. I was mentioning that academic institutes also have to gear up, put in a lot of subjects, and make skill set available in the artificial intelligence in the universities. We should get geared up. If we lose this opportunity, again, lots of unemployment problems going to there in the country. So we have to get geared up. And artificial intelligence plays a major role in the defense also. Let me give you a small example. When I launch a missile against a tank, whether it is in the desert, whether it is having a fog, or it is raining, and when it is a dust is there, or a storm is there, whether it is in the winter or summer, my image, what I am getting, based on the conditions, the types of algorithms what I have to employ, the type of intelligence what I have to employ, is one of the areas. From there onwards, identifying a person, if I am having an autonomous vehicle, whether the soldier or the tank, what it is there, I need to identify whether the enemy is an enemy, or an enemy's tank, or an enemy's aircraft, whatnot. Again, artificial intelligence. Look into it. Even talk about today terrorist operations or something like that. You talk about in Kashmir and all that. A terrorist is there in a mob walking through the street. A street camera is there. Real time identifying that this fellow is also walking with them. Morning one day we were talking about. He disguised himself or something like that. He has clean shaven, whatnot, and changed here in the facial also. But by physiological parameters, I am still able to observe that this is the man who had disguised himself and is the terrorist who is walking in. Look at the type of operations. AI is going to have, I just talked about defense applications, civilian applications are enormous. So tremendous applications we need to get geared up in this area. Cognitive technologies. This is again an important area where again artificial intelligence plays a big role here. Cognitive systems, cognitive communications, whatnot, many other things is another important area where we need to concentrate a lot in this area. This is, I was talking about the fifth dimension of warfare, cyber technologies. Cyber defense, cyber offense, many technologies. You must have heard the way the Israel has done Unit 7200. The way the startups have come, youngsters have been encouraged. I think this is one area where which is actually only, it is reserved for youngsters. You need to have post-graduation courses, research, or even in your BTech and BE, also you need to have a couple of subjects on this area and develop a lot of skill set in this, and there's a lot of requirement. I was just mentioning, if suppose you have a MTech degree here, we are ready to take the whole of the batch and submit to DRDO and absorb them here. So friends, concentrate on this era. It's coming up in a big way, either as joining as a job or working as a freelancer or as a startup. This is one of the important areas which country needs and the world is looking for. Quantum technologies. This is again an upcoming area, whether it's quantum communications or quantum computing or quantum radars, quantum navigation is one very important area. Many people in the country are working on the quantum computing, whether it is TIFR, couple of IITs, and various other areas. In fact, let me tell you, we have established a laboratory for this in the quantum computing and quantum communications related. Anyway, I think let me tell you right away, there is a lot of importance given to youngsters and to work on the futuristic technologies. So Honorable Prime Minister, when he came to DRDO, he said that try to create 5 laboratories completely filled with only youngsters below the age of 35. So lots of debates went on how to make a 35 years old man as the lab director. Normally it happens around 55 years old and things like that. How can this man be along with them? How do we give the financial powers and whatnot and all that? So, but then once the Prime Minister has said and he has something very strong in his mind how this country would recognize the power in the youth and things like that. So this March we have created 5 laboratories in DRDO, completely manned by youngsters below the age of 35, including the directors. So all the people, we had a recently directors conference, 5 very youngsters and 5 all remaining about 53, 55 people, old people who are sitting at directors, and these are also sitting at directors and so on and so forth. One of the areas of the 10 scientist laboratories is this, quantum communication and quantum computing, quantum technology. We put most of these 5 laboratories as part of IITs. This quantum computing laboratory is in IIT Mumbai. People are working on it. I was just talking about materials. So we created a laboratory in the materials area for the youngsters to work. Very important area. Luckily it is, the next slide is that. Lots of work country has to do in the materials area. I was again telling you some time back, if you are not strong in materials, whatever you do, the nation cannot progress. Today we are talking about materials which are smart materials, materials which are shaped in memory realized. We are talking about high temperature materials. If I need to develop a hypersonic missile today, the most important thing is a material. A material which can withstand a temperatures of about 2500 degrees centigrade or 3000 centigrade is an important thing. Yes, in missiles like Agni, we have already used materials which are about 3000 degrees centigrade, carbon-carbon composite, carbon-phenolic composites and whatnot and all that. But that is for it's an ablative material and which you are using for a shorter duration of flight. Whereas if I use in a hypersonic missile, I have to fly for about 1000 seconds, withstanding this type of aerodynamic loading. And then also the strength of the materials matters, where you have to maneuver the system and things like that. So materials are very important. The models you need to develop for the materials, today it is all experimental models, meaning I need to develop an alloy, let's say aluminum, lithium or whatever material, aluminum, lithium and tungsten, little related material, whatever things, you have to do hundreds of experiments, putting this quantity, this quantity, this quantity, what are the characteristics, what not and all that. It takes years. No, I have a fantastic model. Through the model I am able to generate what are the alloy characteristics when I have this type of alloys. Life becomes very simple. Today a life cycle for developing a material is close to about 15 years. 15 years. A steel what we have developed for submarine today called AV3 steel, it is about 15 years it has taken for development, experimentation, proving and taking to industry to produce it. So the cycle hasn't happened and we need to produce this material faster. So that's the incentives laboratory created to create these models for the materials so that you will be able to develop. And varieties of things we can talk about this subject. I don't want to deal with the types of materials what we need in the country. Uh, this is one thing, asymmetric warfare. Today, the present scenario, what we are seeing worldwide, the war is not like between two nations. The completely asymmetric warfare. People either in the groups or terrorists or other ways, people are entering and the people are part of the civil society, and you need to attack in small things and whatnot. If you youngsters, if you are working on UAVs, let's say a terrorist is hiding in a house, I need to have a small fly with a camera, with a all whatnot, communication system and everything, which has a range of over 200 meters or 300 meters, goes through a window or goes through a small kitchen hole, goes inside, the complete image is transmitted to me, where, who, what doing and what is happening, everything you know. And then I need to have a small fellow which can go and attack the particular area. This is what is when you say asymmetric warfare. Or looking for a bullet which can guide itself. And if you are firing against a person, the bullet actually looks at the image of the person, guides itself, and then goes and attacks the person wherever you need it. These are all the asymmetric technologies what we need to develop. Highly miniaturized, very effective systems, no collateral damages, and you are able to attack the right person. This is one of the actually things of that small form drones also. These are all the things what today you are looking for in the given scenario of the world today when you talk about security systems. So these are some of those technologies what I was mentioning. This is again next one more blockchain technologies. I think blockchain technology, somebody in the meeting in the morning with the professors also was mentioning. This is again another important area. So gave you a couple of examples of futuristic things. I could not everything here is extremely difficult. Lots of areas are there where we need to work. Today, let me tell you about opportunities are plenty. Government is giving tremendous opportunities. The youngsters are coming up and doing extremely well. The youngsters till yesterday were more concentrating only in the ICT, information communication technology areas. Today it is not so. They are getting into the core technologies. I'll give you a couple of examples of youngsters who have done extremely well in the last 3-4 years who have worked with me. There is a young boy from Coimbatore who had just passed out. He was working on explosives and rocket related technologies, propulsion technologies. In fact, he has burned his entire hand also in that operations. So he came to me saying that I have an idea, I want to make it, I want to make a propulsion system. I have introduced to Chairman ISRO, Kiran Kumar at the time. Looking at the idea, he got it reviewed from a couple of people. He gave a worth of 2 crores worth of project to the young boy. That to work on propulsion for interplanetary missions. Successfully demonstrated and gave it to ISRO. Young boy of, I think he was 23 years old, who just came out of the college. And now, he has a startup in IISc. The French government collaborated with this boy. That is the type of people who are coming. Last year, a boy who came out of engineering, he said he's a materials metallurgical student. He said, I want to work on composite rocket motors. Meaning, our motors, what we have, rocket motors, till now we have been using, till recently, all metallic motors, which is a heavy weight. If you have heavy weight, then you need a lot of propulsion and a lot of energy you need it. So we developed a composite rocket motors. So the weight comes down drastically, and then so with a small propulsion you can go with this. But then what happens is, these composite materials should withstand higher temperatures also. So we didn't have that material. So when the boy came back and looking for some work in the composite materials, I said, go to my laboratory in Hyderabad, they're working on the composite rocket motors. So take some work and they'll give you a work, the established industry, start producing and giving it. He said, I have not come to take a technology from you. I want to make a technology and give it to you, what are the areas. He introduced it to 2 retired scientists. He wanted to work on this high temperature composite materials, composite rocket motor materials. Just met me about 4 months back, said I have already developed the material, I have given it to your laboratory, they have tested, they found it good, and I talked to my scientists, yes, we are going to use this material. This is the type of approach youngsters are having now. entering into the core technological areas. And if you look at the number of startups which have come in the last few years, enormous. The type of approach what we in the government we have is trying to support the startups in a big way. Lot of innovation schemes, whether it is right from, you talk about the young students, the Atal Innovation Scheme, what is there in the NITI Aayog, or in the MOD what we have in IDEX to support innovation, or varieties of schemes what we have in DRDO, things like technology development funding. I have listed out about today I think 150 problems roughly are there in my website. Choose any problem, say that I have an indigenous solution and apply, say that this, if I have to develop this technology, yes I want this 5 crores or 10 crores, we evaluate your capability and your design, we fund you and you develop and give this item to me. And further everything is yours. You want to export also, you can export it, everything whatnot was done. We had last Dr. Kalam's birthday, we have put a contest in about 6 or 8 verticals, come out with innovative ideas in this area. So I think we received about 2,000 applications. We are evaluating all of them and some of them to give the best prizes possible to the best people in that. Also, the very good ideas which have come, if you want to establish industry, we are ready to fund you, we establish industry in that and produce it, give us, export it. And when you develop a technology today, the export policies have been so simplified, just like that the clearances will be given. Only few nations where we have a problem with those nations also will be cleared, not cleared. Unless this technology is too crucial, critical, strategic, then only it will not be cleared, otherwise it's very simple to go ahead. So like this, many schemes have come out. People are encouraging the youngsters to come out with lots of startups. And similarly, looking for academic institutes to support the startups, support the students, take up a lot of research projects. Today, government doesn't give me the manpower, extra manpower. The only way I have is, I want to work in this particular area, let's say one of the smart material area, give a project to MIT, make about 15 students work on it who are just finished, take them a research scholars, and this professor, these research scholars, and couple of my scientists work. They have become my extended arm. They are working on it. They are none other than almost like my employees who are working with us and I have given a project, they are working. So this is the only way academia and youngsters and startups, how can we work together and make progress in a lot of areas. See that today, if a nation has to be prosperous, it is only through technologies. If you are advanced in technologies, you are going to be succeed. You can take the examples of many countries which have been very successful in this. Just take the example of Finland. But for technology, but for coming out a smartphone, that time the country would have died down like mad. Just technology as said. And if you have to be successful in technology, you have to have the core research happening in academic institutes, and you have to see that your brains are becoming innovative day by day. So that is why we keep saying that, I keep saying that innovation is the most important thing. Innovation is the buzzword. And universities have to become the engines for innovation. Make the youngsters come out with innovation. If you have an innovative product today, the world comes to you to take the product today. Somebody met me from Bombay the other day. He was having a product called a rodent repellent. We were looking for such a product. Some of our armed forces people have written a letter to United States of America saying that we are looking for a product like this, can you supply to us? He sends me back, we are buying it from India, from an youngster, this is the company name, and you can buy from that same Indian thing, we are also buying from it. That is what innovation makes. If your product is technologically advanced, and if your product is cheaper compared to any other product, people will come and buy it from you. You don't have to go and sell it. If you can't export, the country cannot become prosperous. You may become self-reliant as I'm giving all my products to army. But what is the number? You may take about 50,000, 1 lakh, or depending on the type of product. But if the industry has to survive, or the country has to become prosperous, you need to sell it all over the world. That means your technology has to be much better. So you need to think about what are the technologies which are going to come in the next 10 years. Work on those technologies today. That's where the academia and students who are coming out have to work. There are lots of opportunities. I'm only talking about just defense. Take many areas in the country today. You can work in many areas. Have startup. Be focused. Don't be wavering. Take right and correct technological area. Work in that. Be focused, and you will be successful. You will be able to do hard work with sincerity. Work with us and work with academic institutes. In fact, I always request, I've been talking about, we have become 6th nation, 7th nation, 8th nation, or 4th nation, 3rd nation in the world in many technologies. And this country, you expect to do the first of its kind in the world, but not having one academic institute standing in the first 100 of the world. If you don't have one academic institute standing in the first 100 of the world, how do you expect me to make a first of its kind product in the world? We need to have that type of an academic institute. We have to have the mind to develop that type of a core research. Take a very small, narrow area, but work in that. When I was talking about 140 kilometers interception of the pedestrian missile defense, we had a problem. The type of a propulsion burning when you are doing, the molecules, how they expand in that outer atmosphere at 140 kilometers. We didn't know what to do. There is no model existing in the world. One professor, just about 29 years old, professor, associate professor, joined IIT Hyderabad. We asked him, can you work? He worked with us in the laboratory for 1 year and gave the model. Using that model, we went ahead, thinking that the model is correct and let us take a risk. And that model, when we have actually experimented and did an interception at 140 kilometers, proved to be 100% correct. That is the type of professors who are come and giving us. So you need to work in a very narrow area. It is a molecules expansion at a very high altitude of 140 kilometers. But it is an essential thing. You develop a model of that and you try to sell it, entire world comes to you. So take a small and narrow area, but deep-rooted research in that, have a focus, come out with models, come out with products that you will be very successful and you will be able to sell that product in the entire world. You will make the country self-reliant and you will make the country very prosperous, and that's how the Indian flag will be flying top of the world. Thank you. Thank you.